can win the shootout. Stephen Fry trying to pull off another save to keep Seattle alive. No! Portland wins the spree of the hero, and the Portland Timbers have won the shootout in Seattle.
Never seen anything like this. Cascadia in the playoffs, 2 legs, insanity. The Portland Timbers didn't know they were going to penalty kicks. They were thanking God, Charlie Davies, and that was. I don't know what to say. This has been one of the most incredible, mind-bending, entertaining, back and forth, seesaw MLS Cup playoff games I've ever witnessed. I think anybody has ever witnessed. Help me understand what just happened. Portland Timbers and PKs, move on.
I just want to know if Dairon Asprilla called bank. No, he called game. Dairon Asprilla steps to the penalty spot and calls game. That's what happened, Andrew.
This game, I'm struggling to explain it right now. You have a back and forth game that looked like it was nothing for basically 65 minutes, that the Portland Timbers had put their foot on Seattle's throat and said, you know what, we're going to hold on to our 2-1 lead.
And then it was like a whole separate game. It was like bobble the ball, Antonella drops it, gifts it for Ruidíaz, he bangs in the back of the net, and then it's like, all right, game on, let's go. It's opened up, the plays back and forth, excitement. Normally 10:30, my eyes are closed. I'm out. I'm asleep. I'm asleep. I'm dealing with twins all day. I get home. I'm dead. I couldn't be more awake right now.
Yeah.
That game was so exciting. That's what we want as people who are fans of the game. This is the playoffs that, you know, gets people who maybe are like on the fence about soccer. They watch this. They say, this is what it's all about. I want to follow the Timbers now all the way through the playoffs.
John Strong said, I hope you guys on the East Coast didn't go to sleep. Well, we didn't. We hope you didn't as well. Thanks for joining us. Let's see the highlights. That's what this is all about. Wow. For Seattle, for the Sounders, forever. I actually thought the Timbers Army won the TIFO game here with the old Dudes Where's Your Car show. There weren't many chances for a while here. And then Jeff Attinella, Calen, this is a moment he won't want to remember. But it worked out in the end.
Yeah, well, he had a couple more. He was going to have a lot more chances to redeem himself, and he did in the penalty kick shootout. And to Charlie's point, you know, from the beginning of the match, you know, you have at least the fans were into it. What a great advertisement for our league to be able to, you know, maybe not in the first half necessarily, but as the game goes on, because this is the unpredictability of MLS. You know, you don't always get it. And look, I got to say, Ruidíaz to me was a standout. I mean, he kept this team alive. Whenever you thought they were dead and dusted, I mean, he was the one that was able to keep dragging them out with, you know, play after play and his work ethic throughout the night.
Who's the best striker of all time?
In the playoffs?
Dairon, and Dairon.
You gotta understand, this guy is literally the worst finisher in MLS history in the regular season.
Calen Carr.
Literally the worst
I can think of some
ever. No, talking about high volume shooters, he is the worst ever. And he's like Mike McGee or Landon Donovan level when it comes to
Can we talk about this tweet though? Tell the story. I mean, Wiebe is gone. That was last postseason. I thought I had that title. There's no catchy one for you, but what happened here?
Guys, I know this is the post-game show, but just follow my tweets along during the match. I will tell you what's going to happen.
Calen is an influencer in so many ways, including like with the soccer gods. Like he has their ear, and if he tweets that Dairon Asprilla is going to win the series, guess what happens?
Yeah, well then it looked like it wasn't going to happen, and then it actually came back and did happen again.
Which is the beauty of all of this, by the way.
It happened twice.
But you actually have to give him a ton of credit because
he was awesome.
He came into the match, and it wasn't just the goals, actually.
No, he made a big difference.
He was able to like stretch the field. He worked defensively. Great, took the header incredibly well. And look, you can say the penalty wasn't maybe the best penalty ever, but hey, he's the one dancing at the end of the day.
He struck it.
Yeah.
I asked Charlie if there were planned celebrations ahead of this match. I don't know if Dairon planned that, but it felt very natural for him to just break into the little jig after that PK.
No, he was ready for it.
Yeah.
He was ready for it.
To do it at CenturyLink. What a win this is for the Portland Timbers and their supporters. What a win this is for Timbers Army. And you think back to 2013, and now they've done it twice in both meetings in the postseason with their biggest rivals. Now they march on to the conference championship. Now they have an opportunity to win MLS Cup. Now they've spoiled Seattle's chance to go to 3 straight and maybe win 2 in 3 years. This is, you can't overplay how big of a win this is for Gianvite Savarese. How big this is a win for the Timbers.
I also think this was a coaching masterclass. He came in, he made the right adjustments, people were questioning the Flores. He put in Asprilla at the right time. I think he just had a proper game plan. He played it out right, stuck to his guns, and now they're advancing to the
Coaching masterclass, except for telling his guys that away goals don't count in extra
Besides
time.
that, besides the praying to God.
We'll get to that, and hopefully we will show you the moment when Zarek Valentin had to kind of walk everyone through the way things were working.
No.
Diego Valeri thought they'd won it in extra time. That's not the case, but Susannah Collins caught up with him after this match. Let's hear that.
All right, Diego, an absolute roller coaster of a game for you guys. I know what it was like for me watching this game, but how much fun was that for you guys out there?
It was really fun. It was a hard game, very difficult. They came really hard during almost the whole game, but we scored 2 goals away, and we were very confident in the PK. So I think we are deserving this.
Knowing that this game could have gone to penalty kicks, was that something that you guys had talked about and worked on ahead of this match?
No, we haven't talked about it, but we knew that it was a possibility. But besides that, we were very focused on the game. I think we play a good game overall, even if we concede a lot of the ball. But at the end, we're happy about the result.
Just a gritty, gutty performance. How proud are you of your team for staying in this one, especially in this hostile environment here in Seattle?
Very proud about our team, and this is for our supporters. I mean, it's history again. We're in the West Conference Final again, and we'll fight for another title.
So now you wait to see who the next opponent will be. Will it be Kansas City, Real Salt Lake? How do you like the matchups between both of these teams?
Both teams are really good. Salt Lake is showing that they're a strong team, and besides who will make it, we'll focus on us and resting well this week that we have to rest.
So how do you keep the momentum going when you have this extended break that you're looking forward to now?
Being motivated about a new title, a new MLS Cup final. So it's all about that. We are very motivated about giving our club another title.
Also time to celebrate and enjoy this one. Diego, thank you so much.
4-4 on aggregate in this one, and away goals the Timbers thought were going to be the difference. They were not the difference because in extra time they do not count as away goals. So we get to extra time and then it's just all even. Whoever wins. This is the moment after the match. There's confusion. Look at him looking around. There's hugging.
Charlie said, what?
What's happening
Did you
here?
say PK?
Luckily, nobody tried to trade
Zarek
shirts.
Valentin with the finger wave. He's explaining, no, this is not the way it works. We've got to go to penalty kicks. Sebastian, did your coaches in the playoffs, when you were in these situations, did you walk through the rules? Did you know walking in? Would you have known in this situation, do you think?
Absolutely. And if you didn't know prior to extra time, the coach would make sure you knew that everything's back to normal. We're playing even now. Away goals
It's a 30-minute mini game.
It's a mini game. Here you go.
And you understand that the emotions run high in the match.
Sure.
And look, it was going back and forth, and keeping track at some point is hard. But when you get to that extra time, you have that little break to come over and get water. And whether it's the head coach or usually a goalkeeper coach or an assistant, it's just a simple reminder in English and in Spanish, most likely, to let guys know, like, hey, listen, if we get one early, it's not over necessarily. It's a simple reminder. They missed that one.
And now it becomes just kind of this funny, weird moment in MLS Cup playoff lore. What a series this was. We're going to ask you in a little bit what you think the best series of all time in playoff history is. I have a hard time right now, and I know it's recency bias saying it's not this one. It had so much. There were a lot of good ones, though. We'll get to that in a second. Right now, Giovanni Savarese is at the podium addressing the media after this big win.
More than what I'm feeling, I think is how exciting the game was for everybody that came to watch it. I thought it didn't disappoint. Seattle and Portland brought the rivalry to this match, and it was incredible. I mean, there was moments in which when the score, it looked like it was going to be difficult for us. Then we went back and forth all the way to PK. So I think it delivered a very good match.
You mentioned it. You absorb their punches. They go up 1-0. You get another goal. They send it to extra time very late. You come right out in extra time, get a goal, and then they get another goal and go to penalties. How is this team able to keep bouncing back, keep absorbing those blows in advance?
We believe in ourselves. We believe that we can achieve great things being together. And the guys fought the entire match against a very good team, a team that wanted to give us everything that they have today. And I'm just very proud of the performance of our team.
penalty kicks. This team, they step up and they get it done. Like, what does that say about the character of the team that they can go to the penalty spot and get the job done?
A lot of personality, character, but what I told them is just enjoy. Go there and have fun, take responsibility. And everybody wanted to take the PK, so it was fantastic.
Finally, what's it like in the locker room right now, and the plane ride you're about to take back to Portland? What's that going to be like?
No, it's incredible. We brought every player that is on the roster. Everybody was here, so everybody's very content. Now we got to continue to work. Today was a very special day, and now we have to make sure that we continue to work.
Gio, congratulations on the win tonight and the win in the series. And have a safe trip back to Portland.
Thank you.
Guys, back up to you.
Obviously a really exciting win for you guys, but you do make a few maybe not the best plays on defense to concede some of those goals. What's sort of your reaction to seeing?
I can say the same thing for them as well. That's why it was an open game. That was a good game. They found goals. We found goals, and went all the way to the end. And I think there were two teams that tried to control the match in one way or another. And I think it went moments for them, moments for us, and at the end we got the result that we needed to go through.
How nice is it to see things like Jeff after that error making a save in the PKs, Asprilla after maybe not scoring during the regular season getting that game-winning goal?
Soccer always gives you a reward if you stay focused, if you continue to believe in yourself, if you keep on working day by day, you're going to get your chance again and you're going to continue to be able to help your team. And Jeff never went down. He kept on going, he kept on playing, he kept on believing that he can contribute to the team, and he did in the PKs. And Asprilla just, we gave him the fifth PK, and he converted to be able to get a win.
Gio, after an emotional win like this and an extended break coming up, how do you take this momentum into the break and keep it going into the final?
Yeah, first of all, we need to enjoy it. We need to absorb. We need to analyze everything that happened today. And then the good thing is, as you mentioned, we have 2 weeks and a half to be able to recover, to be able to work, to make sure that the guys get back to the bases and make sure that we go the best possible way against Real Salt Lake or Kansas City. So prepare for that. And I think the important thing is that we need some rest. We've been playing a lot of matches consecutive, especially playing Sunday, now Thursday. So it's going to be good for the guys, but the good thing is that everybody wants to come, everybody's enjoying. The guys are not feeling that, the stress towards the end of the season. They're still fresh, they're still happy to be together, and I think this is a very important component.
Case.
Go ahead. At the end of extra time, it looked like some of your guys were celebrating, thinking that it was over because...
No. All right, here's the poll we mentioned there. We'll get back to that because you heard that question. That's what we want. We want him to explain to us what happened at the end. This is the poll here. Go vote it at MLS on Twitter. Let's go right back to Giovanni Savarese and find out what his guys were thinking.
We felt that we almost had it right there. They were able to score that goal in 93rd, I think. It's not that we were celebrating already. We were excited that we were getting closer to be able to win. And you got to give credit to Seattle and Rui Diaz because his finish was incredible. But the important thing is that we didn't fall down. We kept on going. The guys were tired, but nevertheless they kept on, looking for ways to be able to come back into the game. We score in the overtime, and they score again. And then in PKs we're able to resolve it. I think the most important part is that they stick together and they believe always that they were going to win today.
You were sitting pretty deep, or gave up with the 70% possession first half. Just talk about what you thought was to win the game.
Well, it remains a mystery.
Yeah, he dodged that one.
The mystery of 2018. Did the Portland Timbers know or did they not know? That part I think we know. A lot of them did not know. Some
Please
did.
tell me we're going to get Zarek Valentin on Extra Time Radio sometime.
We'll try to dig into that tomorrow with Bobby Warshaw. This is that moment. It is. It's one of those things, man. It's an emotional game, and when you feel like you've got the W and you've got it in a rivalry match and you've done it on your opponent's field, sometimes those little details escape you. 4-4 on aggregate, 4-2 on PKs. The Portland Timbers better from the spot to finish this thing off. Sebastian Blanco may have been frustrated there about that one, but he got the job done when he stepped up in the PK shootout. Here's that poll for you. What is the best Audi MLS Cup playoff series of all time? San Jose, LA back in the day, that incredible comeback. Montreal, Toronto back in 2016. Remember, that game had some weirdness too. They were moving the lines. They had to remeasure that. Red Bull, DC, you can't hold us back. Come on. The snow game, the blizzard, everything involved, and now we have Portland, Seattle to add to the mix. Where does it stand, Doyle?
Number 2 for me. I still think Montreal versus Toronto is the best I've ever seen. I think Toronto had to come back from 4 goals down, and they did it in the blink of an eye, and they just turned into a juggernaut from there. But this is, in terms of like wild, off-the-wall, inexplicable stuff, this might be number 1. I still can't believe so much of what happened over the last 17 hours that we were watching that game.
I like the same game as you. I also think that San Jose LA one. I know it's a little bit further back.
Just the Young Bucks might not remember that one.
But that was insane, that series, and this one too. So, but like the thing that we were talking about was, as far as rivalries, and I saw Merritt's tweet just a second ago saying, MLS, you want to know how to do rivalries? This is how it's done. I mean, this is the longest standing rivalry in MLS history, and it predates MLS by a long time, But it hadn't really popped off the way we had wanted it to in MLS. Well, now this is that next chapter for these two franchises to be able to say, oh yeah, it's not just the best rivalry in MLS because of the history that predates it, but actually we have our playoff moments, we have our sort of strange but also incredible ones as well. So I thought it was a part of history for sure tonight.
What does this mean to the Timbers, Charlie?
It gives them a world of confidence to go into that Western Conference Championship and get into MLS Cup. I believe they really feel that this is the right team. They have all the pieces to make that step and get into the MLS Cup. They're a confident team. They're well coached. I really like their chances.
And Charlie, I think it actually comes down to the coach, because when we talked, and you mentioned some of the tactical moves and personnel changes that he made this game, which I totally agree with. But when he was hired, the first thing that you hear when you hear of Giovanni Savarese, personality. Players that have played for him in the NASL, with the Cosmos, and the people that know him from his time in MLS as well. Personality to be able to get the group to believe in. When it comes down to those small moments where Sebastian Blanco is standing on top of the box and he has an opportunity, or his development this year overall, in those tight moments, I think that's where your coach's personality can permeate through the group.
I got to jump in here, guys. Brian Schmetzer is at the podium right now.
Okay.
We'll go to that.
A lot of that when you have a senior team. I mean, the only guy that's not a senior player in that group was Handwalla, and I stuck him there. But the rest of the guys, wanted to shoot. Raul wanted to shoot first, Bruin wanted to shoot second, Ozzy wanted to shoot. I leave it up to the senior players. I have a list of who I think should take them. And then I go around and I ask them, I look them in the eye and say, do you want to kick, do you want to take, and gauge their response, and then write their names down. So those guys were pretty firm about taking the kicks.
Nico. Coach, there were maybe a couple of defensive issues in a couple of the goals. Did you go over that with maybe some individual players?
Not now. We'll look at this game. Maybe we won't. I don't know, Nico. Right now, I don't know if I want to watch the game again. I probably will at some point, but I mean, there's no sense to, talk to any of the players about what they could have done better. The game's over.
Coach, you said you referred to this game as a kick in the stomach. In your career, whether you're playing or coaching, is this one probably one of the toughest losses you've ever had?
I would absolutely say yes. I would absolutely say yes, for a lot of different reasons. Number one, I would be remiss not to say that, Portland came in and did the job they needed to do. And Gio is a good young coach, and, he had his guys prepared. But it's horrible when you lose. It's horrible when you come so close, because we were close in the game. And then having your arch rival celebrate like they did on your home field, that hurts. So there's a lot of emotion there within the game. Some of the highs and lows make it a tough loss. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. It's definitely a draining situation.
Harvey.
Coach, those last couple minutes, your team of extra time, your team was finding more and more chances.
We know how Brian Schmetzer feels about the Portland Timbers. This is a long-standing thing for him, a rivalry that goes back to his playing days and all the way through this coaching career, through the lower divisions, all the way into Major League Soccer. This is a heartbreaking blow for Seattle. This was a team that they expected, given the signing in the summer of Raul Diaz, the success he had, their success the past 2 postseasons. This was a team that could have put them perhaps up there in dynasty status. You win 2 MLS Cups in 3 years, you have a claim to that. What happened in this game, Matt? What was in this series, I guess you could really say?
I mean, in this game in particular, I think it goes back to a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the pregame, which was a little bit of lack of chemistry between the center backs. Certainly on the Asprilla goal, you see Kihi and Torres get kind of lost and not really know who's supposed to be at the back post on that one. I think, look, Brian Schmetzer did a really good job the second half of the year, but he left Harry Shipp in 10 minutes too long. It was clear about the 65th minute that Shipp had nothing left in his legs. And so when the ball comes back to Sebastian Blanco at the top of the box, Shipp is two yards too deep, doesn't have the legs to get there and close it down. So the little things like that. Bigger picture, it feels to me like they were emotionally and physically and mentally spent by what they had to do in the second half of that season just to get back into the playoffs and then to get to the point where they had this home game. And it was, I think, honestly, I think if you spend that much of yourself during the regular season, you need someone to be a miracle worker in the playoffs to make it
I have to disagree with that.
And let me say, Toronto had that last year in Josie Altidore. Toronto last year, at the end of the season, were playing terrible soccer, and they played terrible soccer again against the Red Bulls and Columbus, and Josie bailed them out. Seattle didn't have that this year.
Rui Diaz? He scores 2 late goals to be able to keep them alive in the moments when they should be mentally and physically exhausted. So I actually don't think this was an issue as far as the team being spent from the second half of the season. I think it came down to some bad luck with injuries at the wrong time of the year. If you look back towards the Portland Timbers last year and what happened to them in the playoffs, losing Diego Chará to a broken foot, who else? Sebastian Blanco, I think, went out. They just didn't have enough to get past the Houston Dynamo at that point. So I think it's a similar story here where the margins were so small, clearly, in this match. Chad Marshall, they had 11 corner kicks in this game. You'd like to think he could have been at least a threat on one of those. They had nothing going on those set pieces. And then Christian Roldan, he just gives them something a little bit different in these sort of outside spaces around the box because they sent a lot of searching balls into Rui Diaz, but it just wasn't enough to be able, he's not tall enough to be able to get in the box and score goals like that around those 2 big Portland center backs. So I think bad timing around injuries was ultimately this team's undoing.
And then you got to look at, like we talked about, the tactics of Portland. We're going to stuff the middle. We're going to make them beat us on the outside. The outside backs don't have enough quality to get the service and put the ball where it needs to be. You have Rui Diaz, who was clinical when he got the chances, but he didn't get enough quality chances. And again, Giovanni Savarese comes in with the right game plan, keeps the team compact, keeps them with a great game plan, and then Seattle had no answers.
Question mark on the handball. He has his hands up. I know that Portland Timbers fans are going to say, what is that? But it's probably a handball. This is certainly a handball. That goal would not stand. Bobby, I want to bring you in here because we've kind of exhausted ourselves trying to analyze all this.
Hey, Bobby. Hey.
When you take the step back, when you hear what's being said at this table right here, what do you think?
Yeah, let's start with what Matt said about them running out of steam. One thing I want to point out is how much credit the Sounders deserve because Christian Roldan and Chad Marshall are probably 2 of the most 5 important players. I don't know if there's any team in these Audi MLS playoffs that can win a big series missing 2 of their 5 most important players. The second thing I want to point out is why was this game so crazy? Well, it was actually crazy because the first 70 minutes went exactly to script. Until that Rui Diaz goal in the 68th minute, this game was about about Portland sitting deep and making the Sounders go around them and taking away their goal-scoring opportunities. Once that goal went in and Portland had to chase the game, they made subs to get goals. They brought on Esprit, who's a goal scorer, over Polo, who's a little more defensive, and then all of a sudden they scored. Then once they scored, they had to play a little more defense, and they didn't have the guys on the field to do it. And then Seattle scored. They had to chase the game again. This game got crazy because the game states were never stable and never dependent or never in accordance with the players who are on the field.
And we all got to see one of the great joys in this league, which is Roman Torres playing center forward, which I will never get sick of seeing. Like the last 10, 15 minutes of regular time and then into stoppage time in the second half with Roman being big in the box is amazing.
I don't know if I have as much joy as you do about Roman Torres.
You still have.
I got a little bit of
CONCACAF,
from,
I got
about
you.
a year ago now.
Yeah, it's like, all right, this is fun.
Get back.
Most thankful man tonight, Jeff Attinella.
Yep.
Jeff Attinella, that first goal, the one that changed the tide, that turned this game from kind of a stodgy defensive battle the Timbers were winning to one that was wide open and crazy, was an error by the Timbers goalkeeper. He's been so solid for so long. This probably wouldn't have gone to extra time had Sebastian Blanco also not headed a clearance directly back into the 18, top of the 18, and had it be driven home by Raul Ruidiaz. There was a bailout aspect here for the Portland Timbers. They got fortunate to get here based on some of the things they did in regular time.
Yeah, but you got to give both those guys credits too, because they were able to respond from their mistakes. Sebastian Blanco, first of all, he scores the goal to get them in a good spot, and then he makes the poor clearance, and then he thinks the game's over, and then he steps up and nails his penalty kick. And the same goes here for Attinella, because look, this is one of those that you might look at not just this year. You might lose a starting spot for the years to come, and look, this could be it. Ruidiaz takes it well. But he stayed in the game, right? He was able to kind of get his composure back and make some important saves down the stretch, and then eventually end up winning, saving some big saves in the penalty kicks.
Harry Shipp's not exactly an imposing figure in the box in that case. It looks like Attinella just kind of took his eyes off. Just kind of lost a little bit of focus.
We saw a similar mistake from Zach Steffen, actually, the other day as well.
Last 5 runs for Seattle in the playoffs, you can see. Won MLS Cup, lost MLS Cup. Thought they might get back there again. I thought they would win it again. Well, they lose in the Western Conference semifinals. Doyle, you've had your, you've been what, the Angel of Death? No, you were
Grim Reaper. Yeah.
Grim Reaper, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Bust out your scythe, man. What do we remember now about the Sounders?
I think what we'll remember about the Sounders is the spectacular second half they had. Literally the best half season that we've ever seen a team have in this league in terms of points per game. And it's something that they should be proud of, but they should also take it as a warning. Because I still disagree with Calen. I still think having to spend so much in the second half of the regular season just to get into the playoffs took something out of this team. So Seattle, if you want to get your soul back in 2019, you got to start playing soccer in March. You shouldn't wait till July this time. And given that they don't have the long playoff run or CCL on their minds, this is a team that I would expect to come out in 2019.
One person I'm excited to see back in 2019, Jordan Morris.
Yes.
Right? How big would he have been in a match like this?
Pretty big.
That's exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they needed to break down this Portland defense and get them over the hump.
Yep, he was watching from above with Christian Roldan, his good friend. Wasn't there in this one.
He used them in penalties, too.
Yeah, wasn't there in this one. We're going to some fan questions here. I'll let you read the name of this one. Would Seattle have been better served using their subs earlier, and generally why wait until 80th plus minutes to sub? We assume it's not enough time for players to get acclimated. I don't know if you could really get in Brian Schmetzer's mind right here, but Doyle, you did call for a sub for Harry Shipp a little bit earlier.
I think generally managers all over the world tend to be too conservative with the subs they make, and they make subs reactively rather than proactively, which is exactly what we have, exactly what we saw tonight. So yeah, I would agree with the implication of the question that Schmetzer waited too long.
I think the reason he waited was because he mentioned it in the post game, was Henwala Buana's age. 21 years old, rookie, no experience. Putting him into a match like this can make a manager a little bit nervous, where Harry Shipp has some a little bit more playoff sweat on him. But he came in and did great. I thought Buana did fantastic, especially as the overtime went. He had one chance where he looked a little bit nervous, but was able to actually give this team a little bit of that Jordan Morris type element, something different in the attack.
I want to send this one over to Bobby here. What does it take to maintain such a high defensive line like we saw at times from Portland against a team like Seattle? That goes back to Jordan Morris, yeah? They didn't really have somebody to stretch it.
Ruidiaz can stretch the game a little bit. I was really surprised to see Portland come out with the high line. They just haven't done well this year when they've played that high line. They've done better sitting deep. And especially to use a high line, you need 2 athletic center backs. Liam Ridgewell is not an athletic center back. The big thing they wanted to do is not let Seattle get comfortable. Sometimes if you have a chance to just build the ball up easily, you get confident, you get a rhythm on the ball, and then once you do get in the final third, you feel better. It was clear that Josef Arce did not want Seattle in front of their home crowd, needing a goal to build that early confidence.
Does it surprise anyone that the response was that way? I'm not sure. Let us know. Get in the comment section here. Was this Nuhu's best game ever? Thought he looked good, smart, no bad mistakes on D. Just Kim clearing the ball that should have come to him. It's kind of a moot point.
I mean, he was putting on a clinic the last 5 minutes of regular time with a couple of acrobatic clearances. I'm not going to say it was his best game ever, but he certainly wasn't a problem for Seattle. And he
won. If you say best game ever, sure, like defensively, great, but you need a little bit more from your outside back. In the final third, can he pick out guys? Can he deliver crosses on the money to set up guys to succeed? That's where he needs to improve. So if you want to talk about best game ever, let's get a couple of assists. Let's create some goals, and then I can say, okay, now we got something here.
Yeah. All right. The standout for me was Roman Torres in the back. For having not played for so long, to go the full distance, 120 minutes. He had a couple of that one
clearance
on
oh my God.
Valeri where he looked sure to be in on goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about. Big time player stuff.
Calves cramping at the end.
Yeah. He's a big boy, man.
He is. I did wonder, though, on that goal, for your man, of course, Darren Asprilla, whether or not Chad Marshall marshalling that back line, no pun intended, but maybe still
that was an incredible.
Just the cross for you?
Oh, the cross was just perfect, and then the header across the frame. I thought that was, you got to give credit to the Timbers on that one.
Yeah, got to give credit to Calen Carr for calling that one, maybe intentionally or unintentionally on that one. We kind of answered this one, I think. Savarese out coaching Schmetzer tonight. Anybody agree with that? We've kind of implied that here.
1,000%.
I mean, he definitely used his subs better, and that ended up being the difference in the game because it got Seattle to have to react to everything that Portland was doing.
Well, he had a little bit of an advantage coming into the match because they didn't really need anything for the first part of it. They just sat back and were content to be 0-0 at halftime, and then eventually the Sounders have to open things up and try and create some opportunities, and it favored in his way. And I think Schmetzer was shorthanded with the options that he had.
Wait, I want to know what subs you wanted Schmetzer to make. They take the lead in the 68th minute, and then what's he do? He's got Will Bruin on the bench, he's got Buana on the bench, and he's got Jordan. Who's he going to bring in? All of his top bench players are attackers. They're leading. They need to keep the lead to move on.
I thought it was absolutely clear that Harry Shipp was gassed.
Well, okay, so all right, I get that, but who do they bring on?
Bring on Buana. Absolutely, bring on Buana. Like at some point, you have to say, well, he's 20, 21 years old. He's younger than I would like him to be, but also the guy that he's replacing cannot run anymore.
And he's going to get on the field regardless. So get him on the field when you need to get him on the field.
But on that play, you're saying where Harry Shipp doesn't step out to close it. You think Henwala Buana makes that play?
I don't know. I think I would rather have the guy who has a full tank of gas.
All right, we're going to finish here, guys. It's been a crazy night here. I'm just now kind of like calming down, but I predict it'll be about 4:30 in the morning, and I'll be sitting in bed just staring at the ceiling, just wondering what happened. Your lasting memory from tonight, the single thing that 5 years from now maybe you figure that's going to be that thing that sticks with you. Charlie, we'll start with you.
Blanco on his knees going, yes, we won after extra time, and they're like, no, penalties. And then the PK goal, I mean, to finish the fifth as a fifth PK or fourth PK taker, to bang it off the keeper into the net. And he's struggled this year, but the coach gives him this confidence and says, I believe in you. I'm going to give you the chance to get in, make a difference, and he does. That's empowering. That's what you love to see from a coach who believes in his players, and you see all the players come together. That was a beautiful thing.
Sebastian Blanco's goal for me was the big one for Portland that seemed to give them some sense of belief and life in the match, and he has been the story of this season for me, for Portland Timbers. I know Diego Valeri will always be the sort of maestro to make this whole thing work, but his emergence in the biggest of moments is what made this team a real threat to win MLS Cup.
For me, it's the Dyron Asprilla game. Like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and I say, guys, do you guys remember the Dyron Asprilla game? We're all going to be mentally transported back here to the bullpen tonight watching the madness unfold.
Do you know best part about being the Dyron Asprilla game? The most ironic part about having the guy that has had a bad year come and score the game winner? Because that's called the Nelson Valdez game.
That's a good point.
That is forever known in MLS as the Nelson Valdez.
Nelson Valdez was a playoff hero in 2016, yeah.
Yep, sorry Sounders fans, what goes around comes around, you know?
Oh boy. I'm going to save mine for Extra Time Radio. We will talk to you tomorrow. Of course, get that on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It is officially 2:20 a.m. Eastern Time. We've been doing this for, I don't know, my math's bad, almost 4 hours. This is what's coming up on Sunday for you. Sporting Kansas City, Real Salt Lake, 1-1 right now in that aggregate series. Sporting has an away goal. They host them at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Then we stay on ESPN at 5:30, Atlanta, New York City FC. Atlanta, they got an away goal too. 1-0 at Yankee Stadium. Not many do that. Can they hold serve at home? And then we finish with what Charlie called the, what was it, probably the most thrilling match of this day? Yeah, Red Bull.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that now.
Desperation time. Desperation time. Columbus Crew SC hold that 1-0 lead from Matt Free Stadium. All right, that's it from us. We got the pregame and postgame on Sunday. We start at 2 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, get some sleep, boys.
Good night.
Rest up.
Good night.
Get a little perspective.
Charlie, straight to the airport.
Yeah. Adios, Charlie. We'll see you on Sunday, everybody. Enjoy your night or morning or whenever it is. See ya.